Thabo Reserve on the Eastern Cape of South Africa is home to a unique cheetah by the name of Thabo. And this is his story. The first thing we actually need to do is find Thabo. And you know, on a huge reserve like this, that can be quite a challenge. But luckily, we have an advantage. Thabo is actually a tame cheetah, and so if he's in the vicinity, it is possible that we can call him. The first time I met Thabo was a couple of years ago. I was standing outside the vehicle and he came bounding across the valley towards us. And I remember thinking, I hope this ranger is right and he is actually tame, else I'm going to be cheetah food. So Thabo's mother was actually shot when he was a young cub. So luckily he was found and taken to a rehabilitation centre where he was brought up by humans. And this is why he's so habituated to us right now. Etienne Senecal is the manager on the reserve here, and he knows Thabo very well.
Thabo is a very unique cat because he hunts for himself here on Hopewell, but also he loves affection from humans. And cheetahs overall, of all the wild cats, are the easiest to rehabilitate back into the wild. So they can adapt hunting for themselves, but also be affectionate and used to humans.
I have got to know Thabo really well as well over the last 2 years, and what I find really interesting is how his behaviour can vary each time you see him. Clearly right now he's enjoying being petted, but on another occasion that isn't always the case. For example, there was one time when we caught Thabo, he just caught a waterbuck calf and he was feeding on the calf. And I was filming him, because you can get very close to Thabo obviously, but I was filming him very close. And then Etienne said, stop filming, you need to get away. And you can actually see on my recording that Thabo was giving me a look as if to say, this is my meal, leave me in peace. Because he would never actually do anything, but you just got to give him a little bit of space because he is a wild animal at the end of the day and he's got those instincts. And those instincts mean that despite being tame, Thabo is still a force to be reckoned with on the reserve. Although we are used to seeing them on the open plains of East Africa, cheetahs actually do very well in this environment.
Historically, cheetahs did not occur this far south, but as any wild animal is, they have to adapt to their area. We've got a lot of thick forest, as you can see, a lot of shrub and bush, so there's a lot of cover for them. So you'll sometimes just walk through paths and opportunity will present himself. Very close distances actually. And I mean, the speed cheetahs run, hunting is quite easier for them.
In fact, Thabo and the other cheetahs on this reserve are having a little bit too much success. Thabo being a lot smaller than a lion or a leopard, his prey choices are also smaller, so his favourites tend to be the calves of most of the antelope. But we've seen actually the adults chase Thabo off, so he's not always successful with those. So the prey he usually goes for are bushbuck, impala, inyala, and he's actually having a devastating effect on the blesbok population here.
So beginning September last year, we bought 45 blesbok in for Hopewell. Beginning December, we had only 3 left. All those blesbok were caught by Bukeka and Thabo themselves. So the only 3 that's left now are nerve wrecks hanging around impala and zebra for safety reasons.
But sometimes Thabo does get a taste of his own medicine. Elephants don't really like cheetahs. It doesn't matter that they're, too small to actually be a threat to them. They just don't like cheetahs around their herd, especially if there's calves around. And one time I was actually filming the elephants from the vehicle when Thabo decides to rock up, thinking that our presence would give him some kind of protection. But it didn't really work, and I started to get a bit nervous as the matriarch of the herd started to get rather close. I think she wanted to show us and Thabo who is actually boss. I still managed to keep filming though, just for a bit. Clearly we survived to tell the tale. Thabo is actually very lucky there's no lions on this reserve, but it's not always other animals that present a danger to cheetahs. Etienne has found a thorn that's buried itself deep in Thabo's back, and worried about potential infection, he's got the local vet Luca Mendes in to try and remove it. Darting a cheetah can be quite problematic, but luckily Thabo is so inquisitive it's almost as though he's asking to be tranquilised. So he is an easy target when the time is right for Luca to inject him. Thabo starts looking more and more sleepy as the drug gets to work. And after making sure that he is fully sedated, Luca gets to work on removing the thorn.
Okay, clean.
5 minutes later, and it's removed.
Ooh, it's quite a big thing actually.
It's a piece of forest spike thorn that got broken off in his back. That will be quite a relief to him.
Whilst Thabo is still anaesthetised, the vet carries out other checks to make sure Thabo is fit and healthy.
It's a very nice anaesthetic bit.
He then injects the antidote to wake him up again. Thabo wakes up as though from a bad hangover and looks at us as if to say, "What happened last night, guys?" Someone who certainly won't be concerned about him is the adult female on the reserve, Bukeka, who I know from personal experience is very wild. She is currently bringing up 3 cubs who Thabo sired, but in true cheetah style, he didn't stick around. Female cheetahs are usually solitary, and they will only tolerate males when they're ready to breed. We found Bukeka defending a kill she had made recently. She was stuffing herself full in order to produce enough milk for her 3 cubs, who were growing every day. So I actually had no idea that cheetah cubs look the way they do. They're born with this fur colouring, which is really useful to help them camouflage in their environment, and it also resembles a honey badger, which is one of South Africa's most fierce creatures. The way they communicate is really interesting. They use these kind of chirps and cheeps that sounds like bird calls, which is also a way that they avoid detection from predators. Thabo, like other cheetahs, has a play tree which he visits from time to time. A play tree is somewhere where cheetahs go to mark their territory. So they do that by urinating or defecating there, and it's also somewhere where they go to sharpen their claws. And if other cheetahs use that place as well, they can pick up messages. For example, they can find out whether a female is receptive and ready to mate. As I sadly have to leave South Africa, life on the reserve inevitably goes on in my absence. Bukeka's cubs are maturing fast, with the 2 females clearly more confident than their skittish little brother. And Etienne informs me that Thabo has reduced the black spot population even further, to just 2 brave individuals. With less than 7,000 cheetahs now left, I worry for the future of this iconic species, and feel incredibly privileged to have seen Thabo and the others in the wild where they belong.